Sage Wanderer here, coming at you from my homestead deep in the heart of Texas. Today, I feel it very necessary to talk about the arrest of Julian Assange. Now, many of you are aware, I'm sure, that he was pried out of the Ecuadorian embassy like a tick. Like he was embedded in there for 7 years. For 7 years, he's been in hiding and under the protection of the Ecuadorians, who, for whatever reason, were finally convinced to release him to be arrested by the British police force, by the, I guess it's the London police. I'm not sure who got him. But you can see them carrying him out and looking a little worse for wear. I think Assange is younger than me, but he looks like an old, worn-out man now. He looks not very healthy. Maybe he'll clean up good. Gets a shave. Hey, a shave and a haircut can do a lot for a guy. But nonetheless, he doesn't look like it's been fun locked up in there. He looks more pale than I did when I came out of this last Oregon winter, where I didn't see the sun for so long, because he didn't see the sun at all inside there. And so now what? Well, he's going to be extradited, what I understand, and that means he's going to be brought back to the United States. And, it's the deep state that got him. I do believe that everything within our government now is being divided into the deep state and then Donald Trump's area of power, and that there are areas within the United States government that are controlled by one faction, and areas within the United States government, like the Marines, that are controlled by Trump. So you've got the Marines on one side and the FBI and all the alphabet soups on the other. And this deep state division is what we're witnessing inside of our country. And so as Assange is brought back by the deep state, why are they bringing him back? Well, if you listen to some of these goofy conspiracy theory nutted and the not right in the head congressmen, Democratic congressmen, they're claiming it has something to do with Russian involvement in trying to affect our election. Okay, so that dog's not going to hunt. I don't even know where any of that comes from. It's more of this propaganda that's being willingly and willfully placed into the public arena, and we're expected to swallow it without any proof whatsoever. What do I know for a fact are the charges against Assange? It has nothing to do with Russia, for one thing. It has to do with the fact that a person known now as Chelsea Manning, a person who had taken an oath to defend the Constitution, became a whistleblower during the Iraq-Afghanistan war and released some information that showed some of the more brutal and over-the-top tactics that were being used at the time. And it was a big deal, It was a big deal to see what was really going on over there. And so that's what they prosecuted Chelsea Manning for. Now, Barack Obama commuted Chelsea Manning's sentence, so I don't know how long she was in. But I do know that she's now a free person and can go about and do life as she sees fit. Now, Assange has yet to face the music for that crime. The big question is, did Julian Assange commit a crime by taking this classified information and releasing it to the general public? Well, first of all, I believe that the First Amendment and your right to personal expression, I don't really believe in limiting the press at all. I mean, the right of the people, to have freedom of speech, to have a free press, a free press. Free means no limitations. There shouldn't be. You know what? Let the buyer beware. If as far as fake news and all this goes, if you're silly enough to fall for fake news and you don't know how to double check your sources and make sure you're not being duped, you don't know how to read between the lines, or you don't know how to tell if they're joking, maybe you should stay out of public concourse and just concentrate on you. But, we don't need filters or protections to let us know what is good news or bad news. Chelsea Manning broke the rules of the organization she worked for, the federal government and the United States military. And she faced the punishment and got an easy break from Obama. But did Assange break the rules? Isn't Assange a journalist? Isn't journalism supposed to be protected under the First Amendment? Why is he being singled out? Why are people calling for his head? Well, it has nothing to do with what he's being charged for. What they're upset about, what is the deep state? Let's just make this perfectly clear. The deep state and the Mockingbird press, the mainstream media and the deep state, same thing. They're the same thing. Let's not even worth talking about anymore. They're the same thing. It is the same thing. It's the deep state. Okay, sorry. A little sage rage there. So the deep state and the mainstream media would have you convinced it's anything but what it really is. Payback. It's payback over the 2016 election. It's payback for Assange shining the light on the truth that Hillary Clinton had rigged the election against Bernie Sanders. I had a dog in this hunt, and I'm here to tell you, well, I'll never vote for another Democrat because the fix is in. Your vote doesn't matter. What's the point? They're going to choose who they want, and that's who they're going to put in there, and that's just the bottom line. Woo, my right toe is burning. I got to turn off my furnace. Woo, my toe's on fire. A little too close to the little buddy heater over there. Gave myself a hot foot. So, Bernie Sanders, the fix was in. Julian Assange at WikiLeaks, they got this information from somewhere. Did you know that James Comey himself even said that the Podesta emails were not hacked? That inside detailed investigation has proven that the information from the Podesta emails were transferred at a rate that is impossible to duplicate over any Wi-Fi or wireless connection. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that a flash drive plugged directly into a computer is how that information was removed from the DNC. That it was somebody on the inside of the DNC with a flash drive who got the Podesta emails and had nothing to do with Julian Assange. That's why he's not being charged for that, because that isn't what he's being charged for. But that's the real reason they're after him in such a vigorous way, and why they're even making up complete lies about him being involved with Russia. So Julian Assange receives this information from an unknown source, unknown to us. Julian Assange. We have always asked Julian Assange to come forward with the name of the individual that gave him the flash drive. And he says he won't because he's never given up a source. WikiLeaks has never given up a source, so they're not going to give up the source. What if the source is deceased? When asked this question, Assange said it doesn't matter, deceased or not, the source will always remain secret. Well, now Julian Assange is facing serious charges. Could Julian Assange being brought over by the deep state to be used once again against Donald Trump to try to discredit his presidency and claim that it was Russian interference? This is Russiagate 2.0. Now they're going to do with WikiLeaks and Roger Stone. This is their next line of attack. So when they bring him over, wouldn't it be interesting now that Donald Trump has control of his own Justice Department, and much of these anti-Trump, pro-Hillary communist moles have been rooted out of the higher levels of the Justice Department, and we got some genuine folks in there now, presumably. I would think that this is a prime opportunity to cut a deal with Assange. Tell us who gave you the information on the Podesta emails, who gave you the flash drive, and we will cut you loose on this thing, and we'll, like Chelsea Manning, we'll just say that 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy was prison enough for you, and you've served your time. Okay, so a pardon or something of that sort in exchange for who gave you the Podesta emails? Because it was an individual inside the DNC. I believe, as many of you do, that it was an individual whose first name starts with an S and last name starts with an R. That Mr. SR, Mr. Red, White, and Blue, American loving Bernie supporter within the DNC, was ridiculously outraged at what he found out Hillary Clinton had done inside the DNC to ensure that Bernie Sanders would not get a chance to represent the Democratic Party and that she would get her shot at the presidency. That he was so outraged by that he released it hoping she would lose and that we would get a Donald Trump presidency, because it was better than having a lying, cheating thief at the helm of our country. And that Mr. SR was later, after he gave this information to WikiLeaks and it was released, right after that, he was mysteriously murdered on a Washington, D.C. sidewalk by an unknown gunman who robbed him but took nothing. This is the story they expect us to believe. So maybe Julian Assange being pried out like a tick by the deep state and dragged back to America to face the music is actually a good thing for our cause. Maybe he will cut the deal. Maybe we will get to the bottom of who did what to Mr. SR and why. I think someone very high up has some atoning to do. And we may, in fact, someday get to finally see her locked up. God save our republic.